He came to see me about a bunch of stuff. Oh, yeah, I loved Michael Jackson. I still love Michael Jackson and Other Planes. Yeah, and I got to be him in a second life. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was extraordinary.
Yeah, and he really was a good person. I don't believe any of that stuff he did, and that was what was bothering him so bad when he came to me. But it's a long story in business. But he saw my psychic ad, I think, in the paper, but he didn't tell me. But, yeah, the men in black that helped him in security, the ones that ran me down and told me, they called me on the phone saying it was a very important phone call, it's a very important person and all that. It's a long story. But it was back before he was having all the trouble. But he really, at that time, was living over between California and Las Vegas, I believe, because he came over in 93 after having some trouble. But I got to help him through it. I'd love to tell you all the stuff that we discussed. And then one night he paid $5,000. He said, I don't really have as much money as people think I do. Yeah, because I was talking about all this money and stuff, but I didn't want any of it. But see, in the beginning when I did his reading, I did it blind, cold, from the limo, because they called me on the phone and wanted me to meet him in Hawaii, and I kept turning him down. But before he was leaving the island, I didn't know it was him. I didn't know who it was. I just don't. I'm one of those moody psychics. If I'm not in the mood, I don't need the money. So, it wasn't about the money, but it's about my time. And they kept calling me, but it was about the time the Clintons were visiting over there during that time, too. It was a really good story. But I guess you're supposed to hear it. But, but I got to
it sounds
work
juicy.
with him and the world, and We Are the World, and we got to talk about some of the stuff. And Janet's even picked up, after seeing him, but We Are the World, Make the World a Better Place. So we're all doing that kind of stuff.
I still listen to that song.
I did, too. Well, I did this week, Make the World a Better Place. But what happened, I didn't mean to, but the Bucharest, for some reason, 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, I had to watch the Bucharest show with him for 2 hours straight. And there were so many people in Bucharest. I just couldn't believe it, and how he did what he did. I had never seen one of his shows. No, that sounds funny, because I used to do the dancing in 84 when I was in Houston, and it did a lot of the same moves off of Thriller. You know how you do Beat It, that was big. So, but I was dancing, but I was a casino dancer in Houston for a place. But it was so weird that I went to my psychic realm in 85 and went to there, and then he pulled me out in 93. So I got to know him pretty well in 93 because he let me read him, but I didn't know who I was reading. It was just some guy with money in a big stretch limo with men in black calling me and then bugging me. And they ran me down. So I told them, okay. I kept telling, wouldn't take the phone call because psychics are funny, at least I am. I was a corporate CEO. I was working for the government. I was in personal information security for the Navy. Oh, yeah, I had a bunch of titles. And I had Psychic Network then. And I had Ascension Center. So I had enough on my plate. I didn't need calls. But I was I think he came over. I had put an ad in the paper, and we were doing stuff at the Hilton and Village and all that. But also one of the guys that was in my corporation, he knew one of the guys that had him invest in one of my companies, and the boys heard about it. There's his brothers and stuff, and so they were helping at the T-shirt Gulu Watermill in California. So there's several ways he could have heard. I never asked him because I didn't have. I don't know. It didn't come up. But when they traced me, I was jogging at the top of Diamond Head because I lived in Kahala, right on the ocean, in a big mansion, not far from the Hilton. But I ran up to so I told them where I'd be, and that's where they met me. And then they just talked to me back and forth about Vegas and what they needed to do to help downtown Vegas, and told me it cost, I told them, they came back with, well, that's going to take a lot of money. I'm like, well, you ask the question, I tell you the answer. So we did this back and forth, and finally, after they were pleased with what I'd said, they brought me over, and I looked in, I went, oh. He didn't have a mask on. He took it off from me. But he had like the hat, but I think the black mask was there. But it was really odd that, I went, oh. But, I still had to be on outside of the door. And I don't know if it was a germaphobe or what, but I had to be outside the limo door looking in. And But then after that, that was just like the start of the relationship when we started talking about the world and helping and nonprofits and all of that. It was a really good gig. And then he paid, he booked, because he'd been trying to get me, and then he had to go maybe over to one of the other honors or something. But he came back and he told me, I want you to meet me like Thursday night. And he got this club downtown and booked it. And I was like, you booked the whole restaurant just to meet me? Because I was pretty impressed, you know. I mean, it was, I was going down the Black Orchid where they had Tom Selleck, and he and I were laughing because we both had the same bodyguards at the time. But so I was sort of into all that at that time. I was living at that level, but not as a psychic.
Wow.
The psychic thing was just the thing that I did for fun. But it took me serious, and so it was a lot of fun.
And he was sweet.
He was very good. He was very sweet. He was very concerned. I told him he probably needed to go on TV and clear up the stuff, that kind of stuff. And he didn't really want to, and we talked about it. That's why we talked for a long. I mean, it took a long convincing because even though, the first time was about helping Vegas and his friends there, putting the lights over the old town of Vegas and stuff. Told them what they had to do, and they didn't, have the choice, mayor and stuff like that. So they did it. I found out later. So that was cool. Anybody that ever gave them advice, they took it. It's just at a higher level. They have a lot more money than we do, or they fix things in the world, So that was really cool. Well, let me see what you're supposed to do, because you're looking at how. But he liked what he heard, believe me, because he went ahead and booked that $5,000 for one night. He said it was no big deal. They make that much in a night, and that was all. I was like, okay. But he met me again, and we met. So we stayed in contact there for a while. And then later on, I was supposed to do some stuff with him and Stan Lee. Later on, Stan Lee found me, and him and Stan Lee were doing superhero stuff. Yeah, I have all kind of stories like that through this many years. But this psychic stuff is what connects me to people, which I don't get. But it was like him. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't understand it. So, but Suzanne was getting me to come back out and do it for a living, and Janet always wanted me to because she thinks I'm good at it. But, it's entertainment. What can I say? But people do believe in it. I mean, it does help them. It gives them another alternative. Well, let me look at your cards, and then I'll pull that card for your specific question. But first, I want to tell you what I'm getting. Okay. Looks like you had a very wealthy life in the past. You worked with landowners, and this wasn't too far off. These are your past lives, by the way. So you did have a marriage. You had 2 children. And you had a young son, sort of wanted to be a prince, like he never really made it, but he was big on wisdom. So you decided to come back in, and, this was after, when was this? This was a long, long time ago. This was over in Europe, the old country. And then there was some kind of wars and things you went through. Then you traveled. This is your travel card. And then let me see what happened in the present. Let's see, in the now, your isness, you have, oh my gosh, you have major isness up.
What isness? What
isness is being here. What isness is? Okay, you're up for becoming a winner for what you're doing, but you've gone through major changes. I'd say you've gone through at least 2 jobs, and you were thinking about another, so maybe it's the Amazon thing, right, that you've got going on. But you're going through a total change, just a flip-flop. Now, your wisdom card and you being like a mystic, really good at looking at the future, but not sure you can cross the river. You can see the castle on the other side, but you're not sure you want to get your feet wet. you know it's over there, but it's like, but do I really want to? I don't know. Maybe if somebody can find some rocks I could walk over. But is that deep? Am I gonna? Am I going to sink, or is that like a sinkhole, or is it just shallow? So you're having all those things up. But the outcome for the isness in the now says you are winning. And it is about your wisdom and the change. It says the universe is telling me you're going to be good at it. So They say you're going to win. Now, that's today. Now, let me look at your future cards, because I do past, present, future. Now,
okay.
Let's see. Now, these show you're very strong, and your strength is your higher guide with money. So they're counting on you to do this, but they want you to do it for the right reasons. They've got you in your money card in your abundance, and they are showing your this time you're climbing in a mountain with the water to the right and on the left. So one's a waterfall on the left. One's now a stream coming down the rocks, but it shows that your strength is in what you're doing, that you're using your woman power, but your higher guides want you to really manifest. So they want you to manifest and say that you are going to be profitable at it. So you've got two things, and then you've got one to the side. So the one to the side that you're in question about, they're saying you're going to be good at it. They keep telling me the same thing. They're sending me a circle. They're sending me back to you. Every time I ask about that one thing, they're sending me back, major change, turn around, flip it, you go back on the circle, then you're back being the hermit again, and then you win again. I'm like, well, my gosh, they won't give me the final outcome card. Let me look over here. Hold on, I'm going to try another. There's this one deck I pulled just one card, and then I'll let you ask a question, because today, Janet, I'm taking a lot of time. Are you okay, Janet?
Yeah, I'm just working on my website while I'm waiting for you to ask me something.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay. Well, your attunement's up, but it says union and conjunct the two. Does that make any sense? They've got a morning glory, those real good ones, Easter lilies with a rose, and they're putting the lily and the rose together. Does that make sense to you?
Lily and the rose together. Well, the thing is that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's a union. It says conjunct. Wisdom with... You're conjuncting your union with your lily and your rose. They're blending them. It's a hybrid.
Oh.
Can you do that?
Okay. Well, all right. Well, the thing is that maybe that means a combination of two things that I'm going to be putting into action. So one is this launch of an Amazon business, and then the other is learning how to trade stocks and options. I think that the stocks and options, although right now it's really kind of the market is like all over the place, but I still think that there's a lot of potential to make money and make money faster than through Amazon. And so maybe that's what the union is about, because this is a hybrid job that I'm creating for myself, trading and also
it says you're in
selling.
You have to be in attunement for it. So it says your wisdom is being in attunement. Then you've got to trust the process. So that's your creativity. Yeah, so use the union, and because usually when these are cryptic codes, but you know they're telling me the story, and so the union and the conjunct, the lily and the rose, that gets a little more clear answer for you, right? So I would do that, but you look at the rates. There's the 7 of the what we're calling we're going into America, and you may be on that cutting edge, because in the world, for like you said, you're interested in trading, is the fact that there's 7 levels of the we're doing chain around the world for our security globally. Everybody is at every level, you know, the multi-zillionaires all the way down to the paupers at the lower level, you know, like me. But at least I'm trying to stay abreast of the trade. And when you're following Wall Street versus Main Street, if I can talk to you like that, you know, Wall Street's, you know, kicking Main Street's butt, and that's what we've all been upset about. Like, you know, when, you know, I hope I don't upset anybody, but it's sort of like when Walmart came in and took over and all the little stores got kicked. But see, the big things are changing on the top level. So we only have so many key players at the top. But when it comes down to what you want to do, they will let